Ba-ba-ba-ba-bum. Geek hat on. I'm actually so glad that we're finally going to be talking about this, because ever since like season 1 ended, and then I was waiting until all of season 2 started, and it's all, oh god, can't keep it together. I'm ready. All right, let's dive on into this.
Do it.
What is going on, ladies, gentlemen, all you wonderful geeks, geekettes, and everything in between out there? Welcome back to the General Geekery Podcast. The podcast where we geek out about all that we love to geek out about with no remorse, no regrets, and with all of the enthusiasm in the world and beyond, in a galaxy far, far away. Yes, we're doing another Star Wars episode. You bet.
Indeed.
You bet we are. As always, this is Donald Kaczynski, your resident coffee ninja by day, actor, gamer, streamer by night. Joining me, as always, we have the great artiste extraordinaire, dice slinger magnificent herself, Hannah Kubiak.
Hi.
And we are not alone today. We have a very special...
Not alone.
We are not alone. We have a very special guest with us today, and I am very excited to have her on. She is a very great colleague of mine that I have worked with before in theater, and she is awesome. New person, may you introduce yourself to the lovely audience, please?
Absolutely. I'm so stoked to be here. My name is Jennifer Vosters, and I'm an actor, director, musician, and writer, at least in the old timeline. And I'm definitely a multi-fandom geek. Star Wars is a special love of mine, though, since I was young, and it's been rekindled as an adult. So I'm really excited to be here for this one. Thank you so much for having me.
Awesome. For those that are aware, I originally met Jennifer through Voices Found Repertory. We did a show. We did Richard III in the first season for VFR's debut season, and we hit it off like that. And you've been acting all around the country. Did you do? God, what Shakespeare festival did you do? Was it Arizona or was it more toward the west?
I did Utah Shakespeare Festival.
Oh, it's Utah. That's why.
But I have also worked at Flagstaff Shakespeare Festival, which is in Arizona.
That's what.
Yeah. So the West is sort of a second home. But more recently was starting to do more in the Midwest again, which felt really good to kind of be back here.
Oh yeah, that's right. You were doing something for American Players Theater, right?
Yes, yeah. 2019 was my first season with them, and it was magical and was slated to return this past summer. So fingers crossed for returning in the future.
I'm knocking on wood for you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right. Well, so I have gathered us all here today because, well, this is going to be a follow-up to a previous episode we've done ages ago. For those of you that have not seen our episode going through season 1 of the Disney Plus series The Mandalorian, definitely go check that out and watch us gush all over the first season. And
Man.
we had predictions in that episode of hopefully seeing how season 2 was going to pan out. We did get some developments on that, others in other ways, but wow, did they go all out in season 2? I did not expect this much.
No, me neither.
Same. I mean, I was hopeful, but this really truly exceeded my wildest dreams.
So Jennifer, since what were your thoughts on the first season of Mandalorian? The audience knows mine and Hannah's, but what did you think of the first season?
I totally loved it. Full disclosure, though, I had purposely avoided watching the Clone Wars for quite some time. So I actually watched The Mandalorian season 1 without having watched Clone Wars or Rebels. So when I finally got over myself and watched all 7 seasons of Clone Wars and all 4 seasons of Rebels this past summer, I then went and rewatched season 1 of The Mandalorian and was not surprised, but astounded at how much fuller the experience was having appreciated Clone Wars and Rebels, but I also really appreciated having been able to really love it even without seeing that stuff. I thought season 1 was so amazing in that it was super appealing to diehard fans who know all the lore, but also to fans who've just watched the movies. It really struck a beautiful balance, I thought.
Well, a big component of that is the main director for The Mandalorian, Jon Favreau, actually was very instrumental in the development of like some of the early seasons of Clone Wars when he was working on that with Dave Filoni, and having that knowledge tying into everything really boosted it. So
yeah.
Props to Favreau. Props to Favreau for all that, especially with like how season 1 ended with Moff Gideon coming out of the TIE fighter, surviving and having the Darksaber. I screamed my head off at that revelation. I'm like, oh my god, it's in live action.
Yes.
I was so excited.
I haven't seen any of the Clone Wars, and I've only seen like maybe 2 seasons of Rebels. So I didn't really get what the Darksaber was about, but I was just kind of like, just the novelty of it kind of got me. I was like, ooh, I've never seen a lightsaber like that before. It was like Rey brought out her yellow one, her yellow lightsaber, where you're like, ooh, a new color. Ooh. You know?
Yeah, I know Rey's yellow lightsaber was like the first time they did a lightsaber of that color in like the series. Like there has been a yellow lightsaber in like the games, but it hasn't been shown in like a series or in like a television series or a movie. So I was like, awesome! They're bringing that color to live action.
I think we saw yellow in the Clone Wars, but I'm trying to remember what season, like if that season had even come out, if it was season 7. I think we saw yellow with the Temple Guards, but yeah, likewise, right. Hannah, I had not seen a yellow lightsaber before Rise of Skywalker, so I was the same. I was like, ooh, that's nice.
I think the first live action, the first introduction of a yellow lightsaber to any version of like 3D media, like not on page, was actually through the character Bastila Shan from the Xbox video game Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic, if my memory serves correct.
This is where like I'm not a gamer, like unfortunately I just never was into that, so I'm just now realizing how much lore I still am missing because I've never played the game. So
you're perfectly okay. That's the best thing about like Star Wars lore in particular. You don't need, there's so much that you can explore new stuff and it'll still be fresh and okay, and take it however you want. It's perfectly fine.
Bless you.
It's all right. And of course the Darksaber, the Darksaber's pretty canonical, especially with like how they've been portraying it through Clone Wars, Rebels, and Mandalorian. Basically, the Darksaber was the lightsaber of the only known Mandalorian to become a Jedi. Mm-hmm. And when that Jedi passed, the Darksaber was kept in the vaults of the Jedi Temple before the house that particular Mandalorian belonged to infiltrated the Jedi Temple to steal it for themselves. Ever since then, the Darksaber has been a symbol of leadership and power throughout the Mandalorian race, creed, cult, all that.
Yeah, I love how intimately and intricately the stories of the Mandalorian people and the Jedi are linked, and how this season really seems to highlight that rich history, but also sort of subvert it, because now we have the Jedi and some very prominent Mandalorians, you know, working together toward a common goal, which I think is really satisfying to watch.
Yeah, that was really interesting, especially because they brought in several different characters from like that were previously only in animation, and they brought it to live action. I'm like, ooh, okay, let's get this.
Yeah, seeing Bo-Katan show up was a big moment. I was really feeling like in a show called The Mandalorian that is clearly freely drawing on things that happened in Clone Wars and Rebels, like we are going to be seeing as many prominent Mandalorians that may still be alive. So I was expecting Bo-Katan to show up But seeing her in all her glory and having her played by Katie Sackhoff, who voiced her, was
that was a huge plus for me, because I thought they were just going to recast her to someone different, and then they had Kate. I'm like, oh my god, she's actually playing in a live action. Yes.
Did she do the voice?
Sense. Yes, she did. She did the voice.
She did? Oh my gosh.
Yeah, she is the original voice from Clone Wars and Rebels, which is like, that is such a huge plus.
Oh my gosh. Oh, that's awesome.
It's so, and it makes so much sense with her, especially because, you know, she has such a deep stunt background. So it wasn't a stretch at all. And it just, like, I felt like it was this incredibly validating experience for all the fans of the animated series. It's like, yes, we win.
and even then with, one episode in particular, and I think we should mention on this, Chapter 13, The Jedi. Oh. The long-awaited live-action debut of probably one of the greatest Star Wars characters to ever be made in the 21st century. Snips herself, Ahsoka Tano.
Wow.
I'm going to be honest, I was really scared when they announced Rosario Dawson was going to be playing her. Not because I don't trust Rosario Dawson. I do. It's just having a very beloved character that had previously only existed in animation, and then you try to adapt that to live action, it's very hard to do in a lot of instances. Because it's like, how do you keep those mannerisms, keep that character, keep that lore? But I think Dawson hit it out of the park.
I was so stoked, too, that, you know, I know there had been a lot of rumors circulating. Okay, you know, Dave Filoni directed the next one, and the next one's called The Jedi. So I know it seemed like a lot of folks were really expecting to see Ahsoka, but I was not expecting her to start the episode. I was thinking it would be some kind of grand stereotypical reveal halfway through, or maybe even at the end of the episode. But, like, you know, seconds in, we see those white lightsabers, and I was shook. I was shook.
I was so giddy with anticipation. I'm like,
to be honest with you, I got a lot of spoilers because I'm a champion binger. All right. Like when I watch something, I watch it until it's done. So, I actually I'm fresh off the bus. I just watched season 2 of The Mandalorian yesterday, all of it.
Okay.
Oh, nice.
Oh, because I was like, oh gosh, you know, I gotta do this. I gotta get this done because it's homework now.
Right.
I just watched it. It's definitely a very different experience, and both fantastic experiences to watch them at, you know, one at a time and have a week to sort of process, but then also the joy of binging a series like The Mandalorian, because I watched season 1 after it had all been released, so I was able to watch them. I didn't watch them all in a day, but I watched them in pretty quick succession and found that to be really, really enjoyable. But I genuinely kind of love, it felt very old fashioned to be watching it, you know, once a week. Like how back in the old days, you know, when
yeah, a lot of streaming services have been doing that ever since like Mandalorian came up like last year. Like a lot of like streaming services, Amazon Prime, Netflix, Hulu, they've been doing weekly episodics now.
Well, you know, from a money-making standpoint, I'm sure it helps people not just use their free trial to binge the full season as it's released. I don't know. I like both ways. So, I just rewatched season 2 with my dad, and watching it in quicker succession is really fun too, Hannah. So I think both ways are really rewarding.
Oh, another cameo that I have to mention because I did not expect them to pull this card. They brought back in Boba Fett.
Oh, yeah.
Not only did they bring him back in, they brought back in Tamaria Morrison, who portrayed the clones and Jango Fett in in the Star Wars prequels, and in one of the special edition re-releases of Empire Strikes Back, he actually dubbed over the original voice for Boba Fett in order to keep that continuity, and he's back as Boba. I'm like, oh my god, yes!
Back and better
yes!
than ever. Yeah. You know, Boba Fett I never really got the deal with Boba Fett because, I mean, I thought he was interesting, but, you know, he had such like pitifully limited screen time in the original trilogy. So I was like, what is everyone's obsession with Boba Fett? But then I started learning more, you know, about some of the special edition action figures that had been released in anticipation of Empire Strikes Back, so that there was like already this buzz about this new character with crazy armor that did all this stuff before the Empire Strikes Back was even released. So it seems like a lot of the appeal of Boba Fett was deeply nostalgic for folks. So I think then to see him emerge as not only a fully fledged warrior, but this like interesting character was really exciting.
The funny thing is, Boba Fett was originally introduced in Star Wars canon like 2 years before Empire Strikes Back happened. He was originally introduced in the Star Wars holiday special that was on television.
Oh my gosh! Stop.
Oh
yeah. Yeah. It was an animated version, and like that animated version might be one of the few good highlights of that entire special. and I am saying that with a grain of salt, like legitimately. But also, all of like sometime before Empire Strikes Back and then after it, you started having all of these random like authors and things portraying their own stories to the Star Wars mythos. And Boba Fett being one of those characters that surrounded those stories, like even to this day, like he's always been a character like a lot of people like draw themselves to, like out of everyone from the original cast, including people like Luke and Leia, everyone else. He's always been also the design of the armor is iconic. There's a reason why almost every Mandalorian character is based on the Boba Fett armor.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, it makes so much sense now that I, think more about it and have dived deeper into Star Wars lore that, I mean, he's the original. I mean, we know from this season that he's not technically Mandalorian, but he's the original Mandalorian. So of course if they're going to bring him back, he has to be part of this show that seems to be really paying homage to a people and an aesthetic that has just sort of been sprinkled tantalizingly throughout the prequels and the originals and the Clone Wars and Rebels. So it's like, of course he's in it. But I was surprised too that he has become such a prominent feature now of the universe.
Well, I think technically speaking, since Boba's father, Jango Fett, was Mandalorian, and even though Boba is technically a clone of Jango, it's because Jango adopted him as his son, kind of like a foundling thing, similar to how the child is to our Mandalorian, Jin. I think we can count Boba as Mandalorian technically. Okay. Like under the technicality of the creed.
Yes.
Under the technicality of the creed.
Yes, but he certainly introduced that whole possibility of that world and that culture to the universe, or to the Star Wars universe. So I think seeing him just kick ass, I think was also incredibly validating for diehards who've just been kind of waiting to have him show off what he can really do.
Not only that, but it also ties in with like one of the episodes from last season, like at the end of like the episode where they were on Tatooine. We see Fennec Shan's assumed dead corpse.
Yes.
And learning that it was Boba that saved her and that Ming-Na Wen is not leaving Mandalorian. Bless!
Fennec Shand has become a character to watch for me. Like, I really like her. She's really cool.
I told Hannah this in the last Mandalorian thing. Do you know who the actress who plays Fennec Shand, Jennifer?
I know she's the voice of Mulan from the original Disney cartoon movie, and she was in ER.
Yep, she is great. She is amazing. I love her.
And I just have to say, I know we haven't talked about the last episode in earnest yet, but I have to say, like, in terms of being a female fan of Star Wars, they have come so far from just sort of the one token female character. And I mean, even their token female characters have been great. I mean, Leia, sort of the one highlighted female character in the original trilogy, who is just such a gorgeously developed character from the get-go.
Go make Space
But
Mom.
I mean, to have
Mom proud.
Yeah, yes, yeah. Bless Space Mom forever.
Mm-hmm.
But to see your elite strike team of 4 women, and not just white women either. Like, we've got a team of 4 powerful women of diverse earthly backgrounds and, galactic backgrounds. Not only just like working as this elite unit, but like also being supportive of each other within that unit, like just the dynamics of that whole moment as they're entering the light cruiser. I know I'm getting ahead of myself here, but they meant so much to me. It's like hard to even fully articulate. It's like it was similar to seeing the first Wonder Woman film and those scenes on Themyscira, when it's just all these women living together, kicking ass in harmony. It's kicking so ass in harmony. Beautiful. yes. It's so rare and so beautiful, and I feel like it means so much. It really does. And so and I know that they know that it means so much. So, yeah. I
was planning on on gushing about those 4 as well. Oh, excuse me, just a sec.
Don't choke.
This is what I get for drinking coffee first thing in the morning and not hydrating. Okay. Okay, I really gotta go get some water, but I'm gonna gush about the elite strike team in a second.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. While you do that, God. Also, they developed a lot of like the returning cast as well. Like I know people are split on the actress who plays her, but my God, I love Cara Dune so much. Ever since
she's a cool character for sure.
Ever since they introduced her, like in season 1, and then you see her learn her backstory that she's a survivor of Alderaan, I'm like, oh, let's go.
Yeah.
I'm back.
Yes, welcome back.
I'm back.
Welcome back.
So yes, in season 1, I was a big fan of Cara Dune.
We were just talking about her.
And yes, and what I was going to say about it is kind of just the same thing I said when we watched when we did our discussion of season 1, that a lot of the time when you have these sort of strong, capable fighter women, there's this whole focus on like, oh my gosh, it's so unusual and edgy because she's a woman. But that didn't happen in The Mandalorian. She was just there, and she was just herself, and herself was tough and just as feminine as she wanted to be, and she was just a person, which I really appreciated. And just the way that they handled that. Like, I think I compared it to the way that they did it in, what was it called? I don't even remember what it was called. Ooh, what was it? I'm gonna kick myself when I remember it, and all of you are gonna kick me too.
Putting in the Jeopardy
Captain
theme.
Marvel.
Yes, yeah.
Or like at every turn in that movie, it's like, oh my gosh, that's another example of female empowerment. Oh my gosh, this is so edgy and weird. And I'm like, no, it should be normal practice.
Yeah.
For women to be respected and trusted and like consulted on important matters and given important tasks, because they are totally capable. Yeah. And so I love that elite strike team as well. The four ladies just doing their job and working together, and
no competition. Like they didn't feel the need to add that weird element in there.
Yeah, there wasn't any like.
Thank God.
Yeah, there wasn't any like any sort of like Project Runway bullshit, you know? It was just great. I was like, this is awesome. Like this is like I wish that people in people in my immediate circle anyway, people in real life, like worked in tandem and trusted each other as much as like this group that went on that rescue mission. Like it was awesome.
And I think Star Wars has always characterized women well, and I'm not saying across the board with no exceptions, but I think in the sense of like in this galaxy, it is normal for women to be seen as leaders, as capable, as collaborators, as equal, and as you just said, Hannah, like to be given tasks, and it's just not a big deal. And that lack of it being a big deal is what means so much. And I mean, we definitely see that with Leia. We see that with Mon Mothma. We see that with Padme. I know, her story is a little different, but we see that
specifically Padme from the Clone Wars.
Yeah, especially Padme from the Clone Wars. Obviously, we see that with Ahsoka. We see that with Stila Guerrera. There are many, many women who follow that path that was forged by Leia. But often, even into some of the more modern stuff, it is just like one woman, or like occasionally we get two of them having a cool conversation. But they have come so far, and I think still really do lead the way for films and this sort of genre in terms of showing women as we actually are, which are, there are many of us, not just the extraordinary one or two who show up in the nick of time. There are many, many, many of us who are in the right place at the right time, equipped to do the job, etc. And that's just lovely to see.
A lightsaber in every hand.
Yes. And and again, like outnumbering, like not always being the minority in the group, like it was Mando and this group of ladies. That's what it was. And that's amazing.
That was awesome. And and just that example of, remember, Donald, when we were talking about oh gosh, I don't even remember what we were talking about that I brought this up, but some TED Talk that I talked about that was saying like what we should be teaching little boys through stories about how to behave.
Yeah, I think we were talking about that. I think it was the episode when we were talking about like our favorite female protagonists in media.
Yes.
I think that was the episode where you brought that up.
Yeah, and in the TED Talk, the thing that the guy said, I wish I could bring it up and remember who it was. I will credit him later, because it changed my life. And if I ever have sons, this is how I'm going to raise them. To basically that our entertainment and things we show that our kids, especially our young men that we're raising, is that women and girls should be people that we respect and trust, and we want them on our team. Like they're not just some object to acquire if we do a good job at beating up bad guys, like they can take care of themselves. You might have to save them sometimes. They'll have to save you sometimes. That's the way it is. It's not a one-way street. And
this is the way.
They're teammates, not like baggage.
I was just having a conversation with someone about this and about how, Din Djarin, our beloved Mando, is certainly I'm not trying to say he's this like perfect, shining, flawless, boring person, but he really is a beautiful example of what non-toxic masculinity can look like in a kick-ass character.
Oh my God, yes.
I mean, he's effortlessly powerful. And so the arc is about him embracing vulnerability and and like not even making a big deal about that. Like he steps up when he needs to. He like is deeply tender when he needs to without sacrificing his agency and I mean he shows like being a caretaker and being in defense of innocent life and being a father figure and being a friend and all of that stuff like doesn't mean you sacrifice what makes you powerful and strong, and in fact it's what fuels it. And I think that's why the Mandalorian as a character appeals to so many people, of various degrees of Star Wars fluency, and of all sorts of gender identities and experiences. He's a very easy character to like trust with your with your heart and your feelings.
And he does it all without showing his face 98% of the time.
My goodness, yes.
Yeah. Oh,
like Pascal really upped the bar this season with like his portrayal of Mando. I just gotta say, my God.
Oh.
Yeah, he's a remarkable talent.
And I have to say, especially with like how season 2 ended. Let's talk about the ending of season 2. First of all,
I'm still getting over it. Wow.
First of all, excuse me, audience and audience, listeners, friends, and Jennifer and Hannah. I'm gonna go a little bit on this. Mark fucking Hamill.
I fell to the ground.
No one was expecting that, but when they were about to get barraged in, all of a sudden, a single X-wing comes in.
I know, that's when I knew.
Little
Red 5 standing by.
Little baby Yoda Grogu. What the hell kind of a name is Grogu? I'm still not over that.
I love it.
I'm still not over that. I'm like, it's dumb, but I'm okay with it.
It's perfect.
And then you see the on the recorder, the robe coming down, Gideon shitting his pants, and then you see the green lightsaber. It's like,
and the gloved hand.
It's honestly, that's the Mandalorian equivalent of how the freaking Darth Vader scene went at the end of Rogue One.
Well, the parallels, people have been really talking about. I think they're, completely intentional. Luke and Vader, like, just of this absolute same stock, and not just Anakin. I mean, we're talking Vader. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
The ability to just like
dominate.
The ability to just seemingly effortlessly strong arm your way through an entire corridor full of enemies. Yeah.
You expect me to take on the entirety of them with just nothing but a laser sword?
And that's one thing that we're at the risk of getting too deep into sequel land, which I know is fraught, but so full disclosure, I've always really liked Luke's arc in The Last Jedi. I think it's really beautiful and perfect for him.
Oh, same.
And I also think that this appearance, apart from being personally validating, because Luke is like a very significant character for me and always has been, but I think it not only doesn't contradict that one bit, it actually adds to that later arc in such a beautiful way, and that later arc adds to this moment in such a beautiful way, and it adds to the original trilogy arc in such a beautiful way. I mean, I see some people having some issues with Luke's appearance here, but
oh my God, I don't
understand it. I don't understand it from a storytelling standpoint. To me, I think it was masterful.
Yeah, because because here's the thing: this is only supposed to be taking place a couple of years after the fall of the Empire, so of course Luke would appear in that way.
Right.
So it's like what are you supposed to do? Like, not do it? I mean, it's not even that distracting. Honestly, the CGI that you see with Luke, his de-aging thing in The Mandalorian, is honestly better than the de-aging effects you see for Grand Moff Tarkin and Princess Leia in Rogue One.
I totally agree. I think it's way better. I mean, people were freaking out about that, I think, because they wanted to freak out about something. I'm like, I think they did a great job.
Look,
I think it looks great. I mean, yeah, he looks like an older version of what we saw in like a slightly older version of what we saw in the original trilogy. I think it looks great.
Like de-aging effects are always going to come with like that uncanny valley feeling. I understand that. I get it, but try to lose yourself in it. Just detach that thing for it and look at the performance just as on its own.
Yeah.
Keep the effects to the side because you're going to be complaining about that for all kinds of movies, especially with sci-fi these days. It just comes with the territory. Put it off to the side for a moment and just let this happen.
And it truly, I also just think it was not even asking that much. Like it was, I thought, a very well done effect that has shown significant improvement since when it was used in Rogue One, or even when it was used in The Rise of Skywalker for that like training scene with Luke and Leia. I don't think that argument actually holds a lot of water.
It really does not. I do have
especially since they have the makers of the show have proven that they are not sparing any expense or any resource at their disposal to make it the best it can be. So it's like, I don't care if whatever that guy on the internet thinks he can do it better. You probably can't, because I think that they have exhausted every resource to make it as good as it gets.
Pretty much, because this show is being produced and made by fans that have followed the original trilogy like it was the Holy Bible. And they're not following it to the letter, but they are expanding upon concepts that have not been explored at the time and creating something new.
Yes.
Isn't that what we want from our mythos, guys?
Yeah.
Like, come on. And also, I would pay so much money to just listen to the phone call between Mark Hamill's agent and Hamill himself just going, so, Mark, listen, Disney called, apparently, Jon Favreau wanted to ask if you wanted to be in The Mandalorian. Hamill goes, yes. but they're only going to have you appear for a few and de-aging is like, I don't care. Yes. What would I be doing? Apparently slaughtering a bunch of Imperial droids. Let me in! Let me in!
Mark Hamill is so good to us all.
He doesn't have to come back. He really doesn't. Like, Star Wars pretty much set Hamill for life.
Yeah.
Well, and he's such a gifted and prolific voice actor. Like, it's not like he's sitting around not working all the time. Like, he has a full-on career.
I mean, for how many decades has he been How many decades has he been, like, the quintessential go-to voice for the Joker from Batman?
Joker. Yeah. Firelord Ozai.
Oh, yeah, that's true. He was also...
I didn't even know when I was watching the Avatar. I didn't know that.
Yeah, you didn't know that until I told you about it, and you're
until
like,
you
what?
Told me while we were recording it. I was like, what the hell?
That was the best part.
He did
Castle in the Sky.
He did a voice in some Studio Ghibli movie.
Yeah, Castle in the Sky.
Castle in the Sky, yeah.
Which I didn't even know until I grew up. I'm like,
Lost City of Laputa.
he hams it up so much, and I love it.
I know.
So, yeah, like, God. Hamill, why are you so good to us? You don't have to be this good to us.
I think I mean he's clearly like such a dork too, which I think is also perfect. And I mean he seems just so generous because he seems to really unironically understand how much this means to people and not get bashful about it or like take it kind of tongue in cheek. He doesn't make jokes about it. He really is very astutely sensitive to how much this means to people, and I think he also is not presumptuous to think that his life would look anything like it does without Star Wars. So I think he's just got a very generous, gracious relationship with the franchise.
He is humble to a fault.
Yeah, he's a great guy. Luke, like I said, Luke has always meant like so much to me. And so like the fact that he's safely in the hands of Mark Hamill, who just does a wonderful job playing him and sort of protecting what he stands for. I think is really special.
So before we go into talking about predictions for like how the future is gonna go, any standout any other standout moments for you guys for how from season 2? Anyone?
Yes.
So many.
Okay.
We'll start with Hannah.
It might just be my background and stuff, but I find the whole thing about not being able to remove his helmet very, very, very compelling and very like as a religious person, when there's somebody who just like stands by some sort of religious thing that they're like constantly ribbing him about it. They're always like, oh yeah, like why don't you ever take that thing off? That's so stupid, and all this. It's like, well, it's what I believe and stuff. And then also to me that scene, and I think it was episode 15 when he had to take it off to scan his face on that thing to get access to the codes or whatever.
Oh yeah, like, that was huge. It hurt
my heart so much because I was like, and then also it really brought home how much he cares about Grogu.
Yeah, that says a lot.
Like this thing that he will never do. Like he in season 1, like he would rather die than have somebody take his helmet off of him so that they can give him medical attention. Like it hurts my heart so much.
That is fine. I am not a living thing.
Yeah, and then also just that first instance where he had to take his helmet off, and then he had to have this whole conversation with this random officer and the guy that he came on this stealth mission with, and just it was so uncomfortable.
I'm so glad they brought back Bill Burr for that. That was great.
And like that whole thing, I felt so uncomfortable. I was like, this is awful. This is like torture. And it to me, it was like it was like making, it was like for me, if somebody told me to like spit on a crucifix or something,
Yeah.
It was just very painful. But then the second instance of him taking off his helmet was quite different. Like it was sort of like a kind of like it's kind of like when somebody has a faith and a certain sort of like rituals they do or things that they believe and stuff, and just sort of see the evolution of that, where you're not losing your faith, but it's sort of transforming and becoming something else, where it's not I can't show my face to anyone. It's I'm very, very specific about who I show my face to. It's like it's not so much this is just for me thing as much as it's for the people that I love. The people that I really love and trust and care about are the people who get to see my face.
And they had played around with like that idea throughout the entirety of the season, ever since like he met Bo-Katan.
Mm-hmm.
Like that set the seeds for that, and then which led to that moment in the finale, which I do have to bring up. I actually noticed this on the first time. I was like, only Grogu and Luke were the only ones to actually see his face. He didn't turn his head to anyone else.
Yeah, no.
Those two were the only ones to ever see his face out of all of the cast.
And like they didn't like, it didn't look like anybody behind him was like trying to violate that privacy or anything.
Yeah.
Right. Like nobody jumped on it and was like, oh hey, like it was it was very respectful.
That's always, yeah, that's always, I think, been a reason why Star Wars means so much to me, more than many other fandoms that I just enjoy, but like, is that spiritual aspect, Hannah. Like, I really agree.
Yeah.
I think I love that Star Wars, like there's religion in Star Wars, like there is, and like there are different religions in Star Wars, and there are belief systems, and people who believe and people who don't, and people who believe different things, and also sort of these overarching spiritual truths that many franchises have, but that really come to the fore in a powerful way in Star Wars. And I agree, like seeing the evolution of Din's faith and his religion, and how he puts that into practice, and like it's really gorgeous. And I also, to me, I think just like you, like seeing him take off his helmet was not some sort of like refutation of that faith, or some like even spiritual crisis, as much as my faith is evolving, as you've said, to go beyond just the rituals that keep me feeling safe and supported, to what is truly at the heart of this faith, which is community, which is care. And so it seemed like a really beautiful progression, as opposed to some type of rejection or loss of anything. It really felt like a gaining of many things. And I think, like you said, Donald, like learning the truth about his own background, being a member of a very specific type of Mandalorian, and that there are other types of Mandalorians who live differently, and Bo-Katan and her Night Owls are some of them. I think definitely planted those seeds of like, you can be part of this creed, part of this culture, and practice this spirituality in ways that will also allow you to do what needs to be done for the people that you love.
Oh, thank you for witnessing me, Jennifer.
I witness you, Hannah.
I am shook. I have actual tears.
All right. God.
You cannot see because we are recording remotely, because that is the era we live in.
This is the era.
This is the way.
This is the way. Yeah. So, with that said, I want to talk about into like the after credits thing that happened after the final episode of season 2, where we see.
Oh, baby.
Oh my goodness! All right, so it had already been announced like prior to season 2 of Mandalorian's finished, but we were getting a lot of new Star Wars series from Lucasfilm and Disney Plus. We got a possible tease at one of them. And the post-credits of the final episode of Season 2 of Mandalorian. Boba has arrived at what was formerly Jabba the Hutt's palace. Him and Fennec Shand taking out the guards, killing Jabba's right-hand man. I keep forgetting his name.
Bib Fortuna.
Bib Fortuna, thank you. And he takes the throne of Jabba's palace, and all of a sudden, you see the Book of Boba Fett coming 2021.
The music at that moment was incredible. Yeah, can we just take a really quick moment to appreciate how Ludwig Göransson like somehow upped his game from season 1? I didn't think it was possible, but like the music was even better.
The music production in the show has been spectacular. This season was a shot out of the park.
Yeah,
especially during the moment when Luke arrived in the final episode.
Oh my gosh!
And they had Luke's theme playing when he showed up. That was great.
I'm like, yes.
Well, and also in the sorry, I know I've taken us off track, but in the Jedi, they had Ahsoka's theme so beautifully woven in, and they dropped in Yoda's theme when they mentioned Grandmaster Yoda. I don't know if you picked up on that.
Yes, they did.
Just gorgeous work.
Gorgeous. I gotta say, that's a really great thing about the Star Wars universe in particular, because there are so many recognizable themes throughout the entirety of the Star Wars canon. Like,
it's like an opera.
It pretty much is. I mean, I look at it this way: the original music in both the original trilogy and the sequel trilogy were done by John Williams. And
the prequels. And the
prequels too, that's true. And especially in the prequels, like the prequel trilogy especially had a more operatic feel to it in Williams' score. And interweaving that into all the television series, especially in the Clone Wars TV series, just chef's kiss.
Yes. And Rebels has some just gorgeous music too.
Probably one of my favorite ones is the duel on Tatooine between Obi-Wan and
Maul.
Oh my god, that might be my favorite duel ever in Star Wars. And I don't say that lightly.
Yeah, there's so many good choices. But yes, sorry, Donald, back to Book of Boba Fett. Yeah, the music just when he was sitting on that throne was unbelievable.
It's like pop off, King. Pop off. You do that. Oh man. So I'm looking at it right now. December 2021 supposedly we'll probably get Book of Boba Fett. Temuera Morrison and Ming-Na Wen are coming back as Boba Fett and Fennec Shand, respectively. I don't know how they're going to approach this. I don't know if it's just going to be Boba exploring Boba taking over Jabba's empire as the crime lord of the galaxy. Because there are other members of the Hutt family. It's not just Jabba. We've seen this in other Star Wars properties.
Yes.
So I'm excited to see how they're going to take that. Where the Mandalorian goes after this is going to be interesting now that Grogu went off with Luke.
That's one of my favorite things about the Mandalorian is that it has consistently defied prediction for me. I mean, I do have some ideas, I guess, now that Bo-Katan's involved again, about what might happen in terms of the Mandalore arc. But from the beginning, I've just been so delightfully unable to really predict where they're going with this stuff. And I just love that about it. I love that about this show.
I do too. One of my earlier predictions from months back when we were trying to predict what would happen in season 2 was we would finally learn the name of the race that Yoda hails from. That didn't happen, but I'm okay with it. There's a slight bit of disappointment, but it's more you know what? I'm excited with how this story is developing. I'm just going to go along for the ride. And now season 2 has left us off with an interesting point because now Jin has the Darksaber. He is the rightful owner of it by the culture of Mandalore.
Yeah.
So where does that lead? Does his journey now take place with the other Mandalorians with Bo-Katan in them? Or does he assist with the New Republic, even though he's still technically an outlaw?
I think, again, given that the show is called The Mandalorian, I think the way they've set it up kind of makes me think this even more. I think that now we're going to be looking towards the campaign to retake Mandalore. And I'm not saying that's going to be what every single episode's about. I hope we still kind of get some side adventures and stuff because I really like that. But
I love the Western feel of those side adventures where it's just it kind of reminds me of Firefly, but yeah, where the lone gunslinger strolls into this abandoned town and kills the monster or gets rid of the gang that's oppressing the town. I love those kind of Western aesthetic sort of things. I love it. But anyway, continue.
Oh yeah, no, I totally agree. But I feel like, you know, that to me, that seems where all arrows are pointing in terms of Din. And I think, also I'm really expecting a Sabine Wren appearance again, because I feel like in a show called The Mandalorian that is clearly angling us towards the question of Mandalore and what are we going to do about this planet and this people, and are they going to be able to unite enough to start over and start again? I feel like you got to bring in all the main Mandalorians who are still alive, and we've got Bo-Katan in there now, and I feel like the stage is set for Sabine Wren.
Oh, we also have can we bring back the armorer? Can we bring back the armorer from season 1? I want her back.
Oh, I know. Me too. I want her back so bad. I think she'll be back. She definitely didn't die, so I think she'll be back.
Like that beatdown she did at the end of season 1, I'm like, I want more.
Oh yeah, the armorer, wonderful.
She burned a stormtrooper alive. You can't get more metal than that.
And just the fact that she's played by Emily Swallow just makes me very happy. So, as a hardcore Supernatural fan, it was very good to see her again. Well, not see her, but hear her voice.
This is the way.
This is the way.
So matter-of-factly.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, like, our love for Mandalorian is not dying anytime soon. Season 2 is pretty much... If Season 1 kind of confirmed to people, like, this can work, I think Season 2 was the staple that solidified The Mandalorian as probably one of the... as a go-to entry into the Star Wars universe.
Mm.
For older fans and newer ones alike.
Yeah.
It serves as, like, a good introduction to the wider universe for older fans, and it starts as a good jumping off point for some younger fans that are intrigued but don't want to see the original movies yet.
Yeah. I totally agree. It weaves together so much, so beautifully. And I think, as you said earlier, Donald, like, the fact that it's created by fans who know their stuff and prioritize that lore above anything else, it comes through so powerfully in The Mandalorian, and I think it's also what came through so well in the animated shows, and that's why I really trust the team behind this.
Same. And now seeing, like, what Disney has in store for so many different things, like, you have Book of Boba Fett. We're eventually going to get it like an Obi-Wan spin-off series with both Hayden Christensen and... Oh my god, I can't wait.
Ewan
McGregor. Both of them coming back for it, and I'm like, I'm ready.
I was shook to hear that Hayden was coming back. I'm so glad. Glad.
Yeah, me too.
Because honestly, like, Hayden did a lot better in the prequels, and I think a lot of people give him credit for it. I think it was just because of, like, how the direction went, but Hayden was okay.
Yeah, he did what he was supposed to do.
I was, again, just talking with someone about this. I can't take credit for this idea. Cordell, if you're listening, I'm crediting you. He said it, I think, was best. He's a good actor who was young enough at the time that he didn't really know how to handle kind of bad writing. And that's what he had in Attack of the Clones a lot. Mm-hmm. So it was not that he was this terrible actor that everyone tries to blame him for everything. I think the awkwardness of some of the dialogue in Attack of the Clones, which I will say I still love Attack of the Clones, but people blamed his acting as opposed to the writing or the directing, and I think that's unfair. So I think
as actors ourselves, like, we've all had to say stupid lines in things and be like, oh my gosh, how am I supposed to do this?
Yeah, or lines
themselves who don't understand that are like, like, the actor is just doing what they're told to do, as opposed to,
well,
the actor did so badly. It's like, well, yeah, because that's what they were told to do by their director.
And also, like, a good director can also, and I'm not saying Lucas isn't a good director, obviously, he's just not an actor's director, I don't think. But like, an actor's director can help an actor navigate really tough text that's hard to connect with, etc. And he didn't even have that going for him, because Lucas is a visionary creator producer, but he's not an actor's director, and I don't think he ever claimed to be, or anyone ever said he was.
I think the biggest example of that would probably have to be Samuel L. Jackson's performance throughout the entire prequel trilogy.
Oh, I liked him.
He's great, but there are some moments where you can just tell he is not comfortable with what he's saying. It's not what he usually does.
I love Mace Windu in the entire.
Oh, I love
that's a different thing.
I love Mace Windu too. I'm just talking about, like, screenplay writing and, like, dialogue direction. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, because point being, I think we all agree, like, having Hayden Christensen come back in a capacity that will almost guarantee a more actor focused script and directing style is going to be awesome.
And I think Hayden can pull it off.
Oh, yes.
Especially, well, hold on. Let me see who's going to be directing that, because I actually have the notes right here.
Deborah Chow.
Oh, okay.
Deborah Chow, which also, like maybe tops well, hard to say what I'm most excited about with Kenobi. I'm so excited, but I'm so excited that she's directing.
Oh yeah, this is gonna be great. Which episode did she direct for The Mandalorian?
Oh man, I think she directed like a really action heavy one in season 1. I can't remember what it was called, but I think it was the one.
I'm looking it up. I'm on her IMDb right now.
Okay, I think that's the one where he saved the child.
She did chapter 3 and chapter 7. So yeah, it was the episode where they rescued the child, and the episode where they went back to confront, and that was when Moff Gideon appeared, and we lost.
Right.
We lost Nick Nolte. I'm so sad about that.
R.I.P. Queel.
He directed an episode in Better Call Saul, an episode in Jessica Jones.
Ooh.
She's so good, y'all.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, she's so good.
Let's go. All right.
It's hard for me to know what I'm most excited about. I'm kind of honestly overwhelmed by all the stuff that's coming our way, but I think Kenobi, Ahsoka for sure, but also the Bad Batch. I am ready for some Bad Batch.
Oh my god, yes. Ever since they reintroduced them into like the Clone Wars television series, which was originally a storyline that they wanted to develop, but they had to drop because of production costs, and it came back in season 7. I'm like, yes, they finally did it. I'm so happy.
I'm ready for some Bad Batch.
We're also getting a Lando spinoff. We're getting an
What?
Yep, we're getting.
I'm excited about that. Oh my goodness.
We're also getting an Ahsoka one.
Yeah. Sorry. Yes.
Oh yeah, that's right. We're also getting a spin-off character of Cassian from Rogue One.
Oh, I'm excited about that too. Yeah.
That's gonna be interesting. That's one I don't know like which way it's gonna go, but you know what? I'll take it.
Yeah, I love Diego Luna, so that's why I'm excited about that one. I hope they don't. I mean, part of I think the amazing draw of Rogue One was that it was a single film that accomplished so much. So I hope that they don't like somehow dilute the power of Rogue One, which is still one of my favorites.
I don't think they will, because Rogue One had an unpolished kind of feel, kind of like how the original trilogy was like grand and epic and everything like that. Like Rogue One, you saw more of like the dark underbelly of like how the rebellion worked.
That's a great way of putting it. Yeah, scrappier. Yeah.
I love a good scrappy space story.
I want to see some backstabbing within. Let's do this. Come on. So yeah, you guys can pretty much tell that we are excited for where like the Star Wars expanded universe is going to be going. Like if half of these series do as well as Mandalorian has been doing, especially with like a creative vision behind them, which honestly these series seem to have a lot more thought behind them than the sequel trilogy had.
Yeah.
And I know that's a bump on the sequel trilogy. I'm sorry. Well, not in episode 9's case, but still. Yeah, I'm sorry. I have my gripes with episode 9. But
yeah, there's so much to unpack there.
That'll be
another time.
That will be another day. But I think we can wrap this up. Any final thoughts, guys?
This is the way.
No.
This is the way.
This is the way.
Indeed. All right. For those of you listening, thank you guys so much for tuning in and listening to this episode of the General Geekery Podcast, all about season 2 of The Mandalorian and everything in general. I want to give a special thank you to Jennifer Vosters for agreeing to appear on this episode. Jennifer, thank you again.
Yes.
You've been awesome.
Thank you so much for having me. This was a total blast.
10 out of 10 would recommend.
Yes. Is there any place that people can follow you on social media? Anything you've got coming up that people can check out?
Oh, well, check out my website, I guess. That's where I keep most up to date, and I post some of my YouTube silly videos. Just www.jennifervosters.com. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram from there.
I'll post everything in the description for this episode too. So
thank you.
Of course. And make sure to check her out. Jennifer is amazingly awesome. I love you to death, Jennifer. Don't never doubt that.
Back at you, both of you.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And if you guys like what you've been listening to, make sure to follow the podcast wherever we can be found on social media. You can check us out on Instagram at General Geekery, and you can check us out on Facebook and Twitter at Gen Geek Podcast. If you guys like what you've been listening on the show, please pledge to our Patreon at patreon.com/General Geekery. You can get exclusive early access to our episodes, other things that we have in between, including mine and Hannah's reaction to the Star Wars Holiday Special that's still on there. I'm still scarred from it.
I'm recovering. I'm in recovery.
Yeah.
Y'all are braver than I am.
Hey, it's what we do. It is what we do.
The things we put ourselves through for the handful of people who listen to us.
But definitely, if you guys if you want to support the show, please go pledge there. We appreciate any and all support. You have the chance for early access to the episodes, exclusive content, and possibility of getting some exclusive artwork from our artiste extraordinaire, Hannah Kubiak.
Ooh.
Yes.
Indeed. Go check that out. Hannah, where can they check you out at?
Well, you can find me rolling dice with my party every Monday at 7:30 Central on twitch.tv/Loaded Dice Adventures. I play Petra, the Dragonborn Ranger Rogue, along with a bunch of other adventurers traveling through the land of the homebrew land of Avenaria. And you can find me on the SPLANCHNIC podcast, which I record with my mom. We talk about art, literature, and tabletop gaming from the perspective of two different generations. And if you are so inclined to follow me on Instagram, I can be found at Pythian Legume.
Excellent. And you guys can check me out on Twitch as well at Ryuzaki MK7. I play a bunch of different games, most of them RPG-based, but I always have a lot of fun doing on-the-spot voice acting for some of those older RPGs. I love doing it a lot. It's so much fun. And just interacting with my chat room, poking fun, all that good stuff. Definitely go check me out there. You can check me out on social media, on Twitter and Instagram at Ryuzaki MK7 as well. And for those of you that don't have access to any of the streaming networks that we have for the podcast on Spotify, Spreaker, all that stuff, you can check out the episodes on my personal YouTube channel at Anime Rev Productions. That is Anime Rev Productions, where we upload the episodes alongside all of the episode releases on all other streaming platforms. That is going to be it for this episode. This has been episode 62 of the General Geekery podcast. Jennifer, I want to thank you again for joining. I appreciate it. I will love to have you on more.
I would love to come back. Thanks so much for having me.
Anytime.
Of course, stay on the line.
So until next time, guys, for Jennifer Vosters, for Hannah Kubiak, I'm Donald Kozinski, and until next time, guys, always remember, this is the way. May the Force be with you, always.
Always.
But always remember to keep your geek on.
Always.
Clink, clink.
Clink, clink.
That was loud. Sorry, guys.
Yep.
I apologize for the ringing.
It's always awkward doing the clink, clink when there's nobody to clink, clink my mug with.
I know. I'm sorry.
I'm like, no, find something to clink, clink. Like, my pencil, my jar of pencils clinking with the coffee mug.
Bye, guys.